Video coverage of the 27th JCT Traffic Signal Symposium is brought to you by Highways News, thanks to our sponsors AGD Intelligent Traffic Systems, Clearview Intelligence, PTV Group, Message Maker Displays, Smart Video and Sensing, SRL and TRL.
Okay, good morning everybody. Right, my name is Shailesh Mistry, I work for Swarco. We're going to discuss the second coming of UTMC. Now, John said, keep it short. UTMC is coming. Thank you very much. Well, no. We'll do a little bit more. Right. A wise person once said, UTMC is dead. Long live UTMC. Show of hands. Anybody remember who said that? Oh, a couple of takers. So it was Simon Notley last year. Simon did help with this talk. Unfortunately, he can't be here today. It's quite a contradiction in terms. UTMC is dead. I mean, it's a very old standard, okay? It's based on Corba technology. Corba's been around for 20, 30-odd years. I think we can agree that we've reached a point where we need to think about something new. So, yes, long live UTMC. We need it, but we need it to be slightly different than what it is today. We also need to get away from the fact that a lot of people say things are UTMC compliant. What does it really mean? So, we went to the TTF. Did anybody else attend from here? Any show of hands? Okay, a few people. How many people attended the UDG? Great, okay. So not as many as I was hoping. We talked to a lot of people, there was a lot of discussion, and the main point was customers don't want to pay extra for the adapters, okay? They should be able to buy plug-and-play systems and devices regardless of the platform that they're using. So if we look at the bit where they say plug-and-play, doesn't anybody want that? You just want to buy something, it works, you're good to go. You want to be able to switch between systems. You don't want to be tied into somebody. So the only thing that we could change there is you don't want to pay extra for the adapters. If we take out the word extra, you've got to pay for the adapter. Someone has to physically make this thing. Someone has to be paid to make the thing, so you've got to pay for it. But do you have to pay extra? Okay, so the challenges that we're facing at the moment. This is a typical challenge, okay? You have a system, the system works, it's great. You get a brand new car park and you say, great, I want to take this car park and you want to connect it into the system. What do I need to do? All right, so as an authority, you'll say, hey, please can you add car park X, should be good to go. And the supplier will say, yeah, no problem. Yeah, just get the spec, we'll figure out what we need to do, should be good. And then the supplier says, yes, we can do that, we're UTMC compliant, okay? And then it then turns out that actually they're not, okay? They are compliant, but not for the specific system that you have. So eventually what happens is you've got to go back and they say, well, we're compliant with these two adapters, just not with that adapter that you want, and you're going to have to get some extra cost in somewhere. So you bought a system, it's UTMC compliant, you want a new adapter, but you can't have it, you've got to pay for it, and you've now got this additional funding. So you're stuck with a system that you already have. You now have a brand new car park, which you've already bought, and now you've got this third additional cost. What are we going to do? Okay, so at this point, you probably think to yourself, why? Why don't car parks implement a common interface? Fair enough, good question. You're also thinking, all these adapters, I mean, you know, can't you just have the one that works with all the UTMC systems? And more importantly, for all you customers out there, you're thinking, why am I paying so much? Okay. We'll look at the third question first, all right? Within any system, somebody has to physically do some work, all right? Someone has to be paid to do the work, and someone has to pay for the work. So we can't get around that. All right? So what are the alternatives? What can we actually do? So the first two questions. the no adapter solution, okay? This is where you have a fully UTMC compliant system, the device talks, the UTMC system talks, they just talk to each other, and we all use standard SNMP MIBs, all right? And that's a great theory. It is how UTMC started in the first place. But as time's evolved, if you look at the VMS MIB, we had character-controlled signs, okay? Now you've got the full matrix, you've got a multiple of colors, you've got different fonts, and as time has gone on, people have taken the UTMC payload and hidden the additional proprietary information they need in there, which is great if you're talking to a specific VMS sign and a VMS UTMC compliant supplier, but then that information that's embedded is no longer valid for any other UTMC system. If you think in terms of traffic signals, we've got the UG405. Everybody talks UG405, that's great. But you don't have fault data monitoring for remote monitoring of systems. So we have a standard, it's the current standard that we have, but it's not working anymore. I think we're going to have to let that one go. So then there's the one adapter solution. And here you have your UTMC system, and it talks UTMC, and you buy a brand new device, and that brand new device talks UTMC. Now, it sounds great, because all you do is you say, hey, car park X, give me your adapter, we're done. If you were the manufacturer of a brand new device, you want to be cutting edge. You want to add new features, you want to be able to say, hey, don't buy theirs, buy ours. So why would you limit yourself to one system? Why would you say, hey, we've got all this capability, but we're not going to let you have the features that we have in this because we need to talk to that system there? So I don't think that's going to work either. And then we have the many adapter solution, and this is for every device, for every UTMC system, you make a new adapter. And that's where we physically are right now. We're in the situation, it doesn't work, and every time you want a new adapter, you've got to pay for something. So the question remains, what do we actually do? We've gone through the whole gamut of solutions, we've done everything that you can possibly do, and now we're in this situation. So is there a fourth way? And we think that the fourth way is to reinvent UTMC, all right? We know that we have something that we need, we know that we want to get to somewhere where we can all work together, but how are we going to get there? We've got to be international. We've got to come up with a brand new, well, not brand new, but we've got to come up with a UTMC standard. It's got to be workable. We've all got to be part of it. And if it's international, that means that we now have a UTMC supplier that can supply internationally, and you, as a local authority, you can buy your devices from anywhere in the world and you'll know that it will work. You will not be restricted to the UK. Now, I'm not saying we force a standard on the world, and I'm not saying that we say, hey, this is the UK, this is our standard, you have to follow it. It's got to be something that's international in the sense that other people can join in and we can join them. We've got to be future-proof, okay? If you think about the current traffic signals, okay? We cater for all kinds of things, but we don't cater for EV. We don't cater for pedestrians. We don't cater for cyclists. Autonomous vehicles, there's going to be so much information that's going to come through, but within the current spec, you cannot deal with it. So whatever we do, it has to be future-proof or amendable as time goes on. So when new things come in, we can deal with them. We've got to be consensual, all right? We've got to agree. I personally can't say, hey, this is the way we're going to go, right? You've got to be part of it. You've got to be involved. You've got to give your suggestions, and you've got to say, hey, this is the area we want to go in. This is the kind of direction we want to do. And most of all, you've got to be part of it, okay? As a UTMC supplier, I will be biased, okay? It's not my fault. As a local authority, you are going to be biased. You're going to want just those things that you want, but the local authority next door, they may not want that. They may want other things, all right? So unless everybody is involved, we're not going to get to a place where everybody gets everything that they want. I mean, yes, there's a utopia where everybody gets everything and we're all fine. It's not going to happen, but at least if you're part of it, you have your say, and we go in the direction that you want to go into. So I think UTMC needs a little bit of a revamp. It's going to take a little while. It's not going to be overnight. There's going to be some kind of input. There's going to be some kind of funding. And overall, to get there, it's going to be a community effort, all right? But it's got to be, we've got to make sure that it's not biased in any particular direction. So, thank you very much. I think UTMC is coming. We just need to get on with it now. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you very much. I think we've all been in the position where we've bought something that is UTMC compliant and then found, oh yeah, but you'll have to pay for research and development to actually get the adapter to make it work. So, have we got any questions?
Oh dear.
Thank you, Shailesh. Thank you, Michelle. Shailesh, could you just say a few words about the substantial legacy investment that a lot of people in this room have made into their existing UTMC systems and how you see that fitting into your vision of the future?
Sure, okay. It's the same as everything in that you are not going to shell out a whole lot of money to get rid of the thing that's working right now for something that's brand new, okay? There's going to be a transition. We're going to have to think about how we can actually get the new one to work with the old one if possible. But I don't see this as an easy discussion, and I don't see a solution at the moment. But at least if we start talking about it, we can think about how we're going to get there.
Thank you. Can I just add that on the ARTSM stand out there, there is a paper on UTMC, so there is a wider position from the industry trade body as well.
Sure.
Which aligns with Shailesh.
And if nothing else, I think, you know, they're going to be, we need some kind of independent person in the middle to say, hey, I know what you want, I know what you want, but can we agree that we're going in the right direction?
Okay, I know we've got a question down here. Oh, up at the top, Simon.
Hi. I think you said we have to agree, and I think that's a really good point. One thing you haven't really mentioned is the issue of verification of the standard. And one of the biggest failings at the moment with UTMC is there's no independent verification that supplier A's equipment works with supplier B's system and vice versa.
Sure.
And I think going forward, unless that happens, any future UTMC will fall into the same issues as the current UTMC has.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Keith. So we had this discussion, okay, and I didn't want to put it forward, but at the moment we all say we're UTMC compliant. Yeah, what we should have is a place where you go and say, hey, here's my system or here's my adapter, and some third party checks it and verifies it and signs off. Okay, now Keely's here. Keely said she would offer to test them all. Whether she's independent, I don't know, but it can't be the UTMC supplier and it can't be the device developer. There's got to be a third party that we go to and say, hey, here you go, and they can rubber stamp it and they can say, yeah, it definitely is or it definitely isn't.
Okay, question at the front.
My point is that you guys, Swarco, Siemens, whoever, are good at selling us stuff.
Yep.
But when it comes to then saying, oh yeah, get it working, we all feel let down. And how as an industry can you work with your competitors? Because it shouldn't be the clients that are doing it. It should be you doing it behind the scenes to actually make the delivery to the customer as seamless as possible. Why should we suffer the pain? Why shouldn't you get it right in first time and deliver what we expect?
Okay. It's a great idea, and hopefully the act of certification means that the device will definitely work and the UTMC supplier system will definitely work. There's always a bit of configuration and setup and what have you, but hopefully if we can discuss it and we can make it easier. But that's the whole point, that if we're all there, it's not biased to one supplier or one device. And I mean, Lyndon always says it, yeah, it's going to be plug and play, yeah? You should be able to buy from anywhere. You should be able to move if you want to move. You shouldn't be restricted and tied in. And hopefully, if we discuss it, we can go that way.
Okay.
You mentioned international there, and I just wanted to point out, as someone who's worked around the world, in the rest of the world, there is a standard. It's called NTCIP. It has similar problems. Yeah.
Okay.
But it is across the world.
Sure. No, I agree with you. So I look after Northern Europe. Okay, I deal with STCIP, which is Scandinavian, NTCIP, which is North American. I've got RSMP in Scandinavia. I've got Iberia in Netherlands. I've got UG405. There's a whole load. Yeah. If we could narrow it down, that'd be great. But there's never going to be just the one. But if we can start edging towards it, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Shailesh. I don't actually think I did say I'd test them all. I think that the question that we just had, or the statement we just had from Jonathan, ARTSM is very, very collaborative in everything that it does. It works, competitors work with each other to establish things that are for the good of industry. And in terms of the UTMC, everybody, all the members of ARTSM that are involved in this are right behind this. I also know that the UDG group includes some from local authorities. I believe that one of the sticking points is that the local authorities are not engaging enough in identifying or understanding what they don't know, what the UDG can, what the UTMC can do, sure, and whether or not there is a future proofing for them in their systems, even if they don't use those things now. And more people from the TSG need to be engaged in the discussion. So it can't just be heavily laden with industry that can do all of these things and write all the specs and everything. We need to know from the other side of the coin what needs to come, what we need to be looking at fundamentally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was point 4. Be part of it. I don't want to have this discussion in like 5-10 years' time where you say, oh, you haven't catered for me. Well, if you didn't step in, if you didn't offer your views, don't complain about it. All right? Now's the time. Step forward.
Well, I think picking up on that, one of the biggest problems, I think, in local authority taking on board what's been said is that there are a lot of people actually in our industry now who don't know how it's done. And it's hard then to sort of, when you're actually being told that it's UTMC compliant, that you suddenly find that some of them are expecting a plug and play, and it becomes as a technical nightmare to them when they realise actually no, an adapter has to be made. So it's interesting. It looks like what we need is a worldwide congress of all of the different sort of places to have a good old natter and brainstorming session and come up with one adapter worldwide. That probably will happen after I've retired, so I'll leave that in your capable hands.
I'm not that far off.
And just based on what I was asking the audience before, just bear that in mind when you're asking JCT for what kind of training courses you want. maybe there's a way that we can get people up to speed on this, so we can ask more, so we can have more serious input.
There you go. So we've got room for one more question. If there's anybody out there, burning question.
The only thing I was going to say was you haven't told us when the next UTMC 2 meeting is.
I don't actually know. I was hoping to find out because I believe Keeley is going to say something again.
Yeah, just to say I have been communicating with Steve George, and we are having a Teams meeting next week to determine when the next meeting happens.
Great.
The other thing I wanted to add is that TTF are fully supportive of this, but there is funding issue, not least of all because at the moment government can't do anything because of the change of circumstances and their future-proofing. So funding is the key issue here, even though it is fully supported by TTF to get it up and running again and be functioning for everybody.
Sure.
Okay then. Well, show your appreciation. Thank you very much for a good presentation.